welcome to Casagrande Chats, a podcast dedicated to the Loud House spin-off series, The Casagrandes, and I'm your host, Sunny. And welcome to the second episode of Casagrande Chats. Wow, I can't believe that I am actually going to make a second episode for this show, but I'm really excited to talk about a lot of things that are going to be happening in this episode. Before we get to that, I just wanted to thank everybody for all the wonderful feedback I got on this show on the first episode. I was very nervous about making this podcast, but I'm really happy about all the support I've gotten from many of my friends and many of my followers on Twitter. So again, thank you everybody for all the wonderful support. And I'm glad to be back to talk about the Casagrandes. And boy, there was a lot of news that came out while I was in school, because I'm in school and I can't really record while I'm there. But man, there was a lot of news that came out during this week and I can't wait to talk about it. So let's get right into the news, or as I like to call it, the Casa News. Well, before we get to the Casagrande news, I actually do want to talk a little bit about the Loud House because there were new episodes that premiered during the week, which was Great Mistake and Leader of the Rack. Like I said in the first episode, I'm not going to go into full detail about TLH episodes because this show is mainly focused on the Casagrandes unless they make an exception where they actually do appear in season 4 or vice versa. But I do want to kind of touch upon these episodes because, of course, I do watch the main show, as I said before. With Great Mistake, I really did enjoy this episode because Lucy's not really been one of my favorite sisters throughout the series, but I'm really glad that she actually got a good episode this season, and it was really nice to see Lincoln helping her out to become president of the Mortician Club. Then at the end of the episode, she and Haiku decided to become co-presidents together, and of course at the end of the episode, Luna kind of made a surprise cameo singing the little song about Ricky the Rooster, and I wasn't really expecting them to kill off a chicken, but yeah, that was very unexpected, but I did really enjoy that episode. And then Leader of the Rack, which was a Lenny episode. Lenny's like my 4th or 5th favorite character in Loud House. I've been kind of mixed on her episodes, but I thought Leader of the Rack was a really great way to show off like her skills in working in this new job that she has that they've kind of been keeping up with in terms of continuity where she actually has this job, so that's really nice. And it was nice to see Fiona and Miguel again, so it's really just a great way to show Lenny at her best when it came to being the funager, she called it, yeah. So I just really enjoyed those 2 episodes. Those 2 episodes were really good. So yeah, I'm not really going to go in much detail about them, but I did absolutely enjoy them. And we don't know when the main show will be back, but for the Casagrandes, however, to transition into that, we actually got a trailer for the Casagrandes after a Great Mistake, which was I was very surprised to see this, honestly, because it is September and the show premieres in October, and I was not expecting us to get a trailer for the show this early on, but we actually did, which I was really hyped about. I just loved this trailer, like just seeing like what we're gonna expect from the show now. Just little clips of some episodes that are coming up for the Casagrandes. Like, I really love the scene where Ronnie and is, like, running with CJ on her back. Carl and Carlitos all jump onto her and they're all laughing. It's so adorable. And, like, Rosa picking up the table. She's like, I've been working out. And Ronnie just goes, oh, okay. Or even, like, Ronnie and Sid, like, walking dogs. That might be something that we'll talk about later. And then Carlos and Ronnie in hanging out, which I said in the first episode of Casagrande Chats, if you go back, that I did want to see more Carlos, so the fact that we're getting one of the first episodes about Carlos is great to me, because again, he's really not been explored much in the, with the Casagrandes and even the arc, so I'm really, really glad that he's actually getting a chance to shine. They did like play a few like reused clips from the arc in other episodes from the main show. Like they showed the little scene of Lincoln and Ronnie in for Last Thanksgiving, which I absolutely love, so thank you for putting that in, Nick. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. And then like Ronnie was talking to the audience, they kind of use that reuse animation they use sometimes when they want to have the characters like do little promotional stuff on YouTube, so they kind of had that, and that was just really cool. And I remember somebody on Twitter, I don't remember the username off the top of my head, kind of made a post about where it was like the similarities where they had the Casagrandes in these little blocks and they were red, blue, and yellow, and those are the same colors they use in the TLH opening with Lincoln, and then they had Lincoln, in like a promo, Lincoln would talk to the audience about his show, and Ronnie did the same thing. So that's just a kind of a cute coincidence, but I actually do really like that they kind of still have those little connections there. Like it's really nice to see the little pieces when you're like, oh, yeah, that kind of connects between the two, so that's really nice. But yeah, that trailer got me so hyped. Like I was so excited about this, but we know it's in October. But when in October, you might ask? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we know now. Right after the trailer premiered, we actually got a premiere date of when the Casagrandes are premiering. And if I go into my source here on Animation Magazine, because I actually have sources now to look at my news, it says, a new home in the city holds big adventures, laughs and love around every corner, in Nickelodeon's new original anime series, The Casagrandes, premiering Monday, October 14th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A spin-off to Nick's animated hit The Loud House, The Casagrandes tells the story of 11-year-old Ronnie, who moves to the city with her mom and older brother to live with their big, loving family, The Casagrandes. So, October 14th, 1:30 p.m., we are getting The Casagrandes. But that's not all. It's not premiering on weekdays. Funny thing. Like, you know how The Loud House premieres on weekdays in those bombs? The Casagrandes, they premiered on the weekdays. Following its premiere, the series will move to its regular time slot on Saturdays at 11:30 a.m., beginning Saturday, October 19th on Nickelodeon. So, that's interesting to me, because my initial thought was that the Loud House, like the main show, will follow up into the Casagrandes. They would want to do them back to back, like, oh, here's the Loud House followed by the Casagrandes. But no, they kind of want to separate TLH from the Casagrandes. But we actually don't know when TLH is coming back. But obviously, since we've had like 2 episode premiere like 1 week ago, that was on like a Monday or something. I can't actually remember when it premiered. No, it was Monday. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's weird how the Casagrandes are not premiering on the weekdays. They're premiering on Saturdays. And one of my good friends had told me that SpongeBob's going to be the lead-in with the Casagrandes because SpongeBob premieres on Saturdays at 11 a.m., which is pretty smart, you know, because kids love SpongeBob and then they'll watch the Casagrandes afterwards. But the best part about that is that because I'm in school, I won't miss any Casagrande episodes for school because it's on a Saturday. It's on Saturday mornings of all things, unless Nickelodeon decides to change it for some reason. But I think this is honestly a great idea to have it on Saturdays because, again, like the people who are actually really excited to see this show, including myself, won't miss it because of school. You know, like, it's 11 a.m., like, you know, a lot of people don't really like to wake up at 11 a.m. on Saturdays, but I generally do like to wake up pretty early on Saturdays, like 10:30, it's kind of ish, you know. Sometimes I'll wake up at 12 p.m. if I'm, like, really tired from school and stuff, but I will be up for 11:30 to watch the Casagrandes on Saturdays. Like, this is honestly a surprise and a gift to me. Like, I'm really, really happy that they decided to do it on Saturdays, because I was worried that it was going to be on weekdays. I figured it was going to be on weekdays, you know, so I would be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to miss the Casagrandes because I have school, you know. Like, it's not a problem that they would premiere on the weekdays. I've been totally fine with it. I've been like, yeah, I'll miss it, but what can you do with that? But that's the same thing with the Loud House, is that, yeah, I'm going to be missing the Loud House when I'm in school because I have night classes, and usually Loud House premieres at 5 or 6 o'clock, and that's usually when I have my night classes, so, you know, what can you do? But with the Casagrandes, they're like, no, you get it on a Saturday, you know, you don't need to miss it because of school. Here you go, you wake up on Saturday morning, you get the Casagrandes. I'm really, really happy about that. Like, I'm really glad they made that decision. I don't know if it'll be a good decision on ratings, but I still think it's a good idea generally to have it on Saturday, just because I don't want to miss it because of school, you know, and the same thing with, like, you know, other shows, or other channels when they have new episodes of shows, they usually have it on their app, like, right away, like Disney Channel, for example, when they have, like, I don't know, like, DuckTales or something, they'll have it up on the app early, so I don't need to, like, get up and watch it, you know, whereas Nickelodeon doesn't do that. They don't put their stuff on their app, like, right away, so, you know, I have to wait for the episode to premiere, like everybody else, but, you know, what can you do? But, yeah, like, I'm really happy about this time slot. I think it's a very smart idea to premiere on Saturday, 11:30. I also wanted to get into a little bit of what else is here in the article. It says, starring I'm gonna butcher her name, Isabella Alvarez. I hope I said that correctly. If I did, I apologize, Isabella. I apologize. Starring Isabella Alvarez, I hope I said that name right, as Ronnie Ann, Carlos Penviga. I'm gonna butcher all these names. I should know this, but I'm gonna butcher all their names. So, Carlos Benviga, Big Time Rush, as her brother Bobby, and Somoli Montallo as her mom Maria. Again, I'm going to butcher these names. The series showcases the culture, humor, and love that's part of growing up in a multi-generational Mexican-American family. After moving in with their grandparents in Great Lake City, Ronnie adjusts to her new life living under one roof and over the family-run Mercado, which is a gathering place for everybody in the neighborhood. They did actually show a promotional poster for the Casagrandes with all the characters on it. And Dr. Santiago Arturo, is that how you say his name? Because now his name's after Arturo, which I'm not really happy about, if I could say my honest opinion on that, because I originally thought that his name was going to be Roberto Sr. because Bobby's real name is Roberto, but he's Roberto Sr. according to the episode Study Muffin in season 1. Unless they just retconned it and said, hey, we're just going to change his name. I don't know. Well, I mean, obviously he could get it from his grandfather, which would be on Arturo's side. Again, is that how you say his name? I hope that's how you say his name. I'm not going to be the one to pronounce names correctly. Y'all going to be like, you're pronouncing it wrong. I know I am. I'm going to learn these names as soon as I get into the show. I apologize. I should have watched the clip that Isabel was in before I did this, so I actually know how to say her name right. I apologize. You know, I love her. She's fantastic as Ronnie and absolutely adore her, and I hate that I can't say her name right. So, if I'm even saying her name right, I'm sorry. Yeah. And, there's some other things here. Ronnie's new apartment building also holds new friends and neighbors, including, Stanley Chang, Becky Chang, and according to this, Sid Chang, Ronnie Ann's new friend Sid, she's 12 years old. So she's older than Ronnie Ann by a year, which is weird to me. Why would they actually decide to make Sid 12 years old? Because, like, she's shorter than Ronnie Ann. She doesn't seem that younger. She doesn't seem that older than Ronnie Ann, honestly. It's just so weird to me that Ronnie Ann's 11 years old and Sid is 12. That's kind of strange to me, you know. I never really would consider that idea because, like Lincoln and Clyde, Lincoln is 11 and Clyde is 11. So I don't know why they decided to make Sid like a year older than Ronnie, and that's just kind of weird to me. I don't know. Like, maybe they're going to do something with that, but I'm kind of questioning as to why they made Sid 12 years old, not 11 like Ronnie Ann, but, you know, whatever. And Adelaide, which is Sid's younger sister. And then we actually get some synopsis for the first 2 episodes of the Casagrandes in this article. And it says, in the first episode, Going Overboard, Ronnie Ann finds out that her Tio Carlos was a famous skateboarder and she begs him to teach her some new moves. Now, again, like I said, I was really hoping for more Carlos in this series, and I'm so glad he's going to have the first episode of the show with Ronnie Ann. But he was a famous skateboarder? That's kind of an intriguing premise, honestly, because with Carlos, you know, he's very klutzy, you know, he's very, like, a goofball and stuff, he trips into things. He was a famous skateboarder? That's really weird. I mean, what my guess is for this episode is that Ronnie Ann thinks that he was a famous skateboarder, like, he kind of looks like this famous skateboarder that she knows, but in the end, she finds out he's really not. But from the clip I saw in the trailer, it looked like Ronnie Ann and Carlos were kind of like skateboarding, and Carlos kind of knew what he was doing, unless it was because Ronnie Ann's been training him this whole time to kind of get better at it. But again, I'm kind of thinking it's that really cliche plot where the character thinks that the one character looks like a famous person, but they're really not that famous person, and I don't know, like maybe Carlos thinks that he's just doing this to kind of, you know, spend time with Ronnie Ann in a way. I'm not really sure. That'd be kind of, I don't know, I kind of like that. But at the same time, I am curious as to how this will go. If he really was a famous skateboarder, and not what I'm thinking the synopsis will be, I'm very intrigued by how he would be, because again, he's always like tripping and falling and stuff and being very klutzy. Well, then again, with Ronnie Ann, when she does skateboard, she does trip sometimes, you know, you're always perfect when you do skateboarding, so I'm very interested in this episode, especially because again, we get to see more Carlos and Ronnie Ann interacting, and I'm really excited to see their chemistry. Hopefully they have a lot of moments together that I'll really enjoy, so I'm really excited about that. And then the second episode is Walk, Don't Run. Ronnie and Sid start a dog walking business to save up for a new skateboard in a plan that quickly gets out of hand. Now this was kind of teased in the trailer too, where Ronnie and Sid are walking dogs, and then like Carl kind of helps them out in a way where he's like being chased by other dogs. So that'll be kind of a nice episode, and like a Sid and Ronnie Ann episode, because again, we only had one in the arc, which was the Room for Improvement episode, which was mainly focused on them. Sid kind of helped Ronnie Ann in some episodes, but we really didn't have a Sid and Ronnie Ann episode Except, well, Fred did too, but really with Friend, when I get to that episode, when I review it, Sid's not really in it much. She's only in it for like a few scenes, and then she comes back at the end. So with this episode, so with like Room for Improvement, for example, it was really about them. So this episode would be really nice to have a nice Ronnie and Sid episode together again, seeing their developing friendship and how they're gonna or how they're gonna do this plan to get a new skateboard. That's interesting that they're getting a new skateboard. What does Ronnie and break hers? I mean, she already has a new skateboard. I mean, the one that she has now was like the blue skateboard with the little pink stripe. That's not the skateboard she had before. She had the smooch skateboard. What happened to that one? Did she get rid of that one? Like, it's funny because like when I talk about Living La Casa Loud in a few, she actually has that skateboard on the cover with Lincoln. She has that skateboard still. So does she still have that skateboard, or does it not exist anymore? Because according to the spin-off, she does not have the smooch skateboard. She has the blue and pink one. So I don't know what the truth is here. I mean, well, maybe it could be for Sid. Maybe Sid wants to learn how to skateboard because Ronnie kind of taught her how to a little bit in Friended. But then in Room for Improvement, she had a skateboard in the back of her room, so I don't really know what to say about that. But again, maybe someone's skateboard breaks and they have to buy a new one, or maybe Ronnie is just so intrigued by this like brand new skateboard that's out that she really, really wants it. So I am very excited about this episode. I am so hyped for October 14th. I cannot wait. Like, I didn't think that it would be this early in October. That was going to be like the peak end of October. But I'm glad that it's going to be like October 14th. And then the 19th, we're going to have like probably new episodes that come around. We probably will get information about new Casagrande episodes when the next episode premiere. Because obviously they're going to premiere on the 19th, so we'll probably know by then. We don't know anything about the Loud House right now. All we know is about the Casagrandes. So, yes, I wanted to see if there's anything else in the article that I want to talk about. No, just other things that they mentioned, like the relative chaos, stuff like that. And like I mentioned before, they did show a new poster with Ronnie and Sid, her family, and then also Arturo, Ronnie, and Bobby's father was in the back. So this must mean that he's actually going to be a very important character in the spin-off and also appear. I am very curious to how Ronnie and Bobby's father and mother will interact. Because with what I've seen so far, they seem like they actually are on good terms. But according to Friendin, when I talk about it again, Ronnie does say that her father and mother are split up. So I don't really know if that's like for a temporary thing or it's permanent. We're not really sure. We don't know the backstory in terms of them being split up. It could be just like a healthy split. Like, it's just not like no hard feelings. Something went up. We just can't make this work or whatever, you know. My theory's always been that because, you know, Maria had to work 2 jobs all the time or work 2 shifts at the hospital, she really didn't have enough to afford in terms of the family, and then Arturo really couldn't afford to take care of the kids either. So that's why they kind of split, because they just couldn't find the money to take care of both kids. But that makes it a little harder on a single parent, so I'm not really sure. That's more of a heavy topic there. But I'd really like to see if the Casagrandes do explore that idea. Maybe how Maria and Arturo met and got married and had Bobby, Ronnie, and eventually split. But I don't really know if they'll do a heavy topic like that. They could, but I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what their plan is for that. And this is a little side note here, because I mentioned it before in the first episode. We talked about the animation magazine that had the little description about the Casagrandes. We're kind of like talking about what their plans are for in terms of the spin-off, like the city life and all that stuff. I completely forgot to mention that they did mention in the article there's an episode with Ronnie and babysitting a pet snake. I don't know why this is an episode. Like, why is she taking care of a snake? I don't know. Who has the snake? I don't know. Well, I assume it probably has to be like Sid's family, because that's the only explanation I could see where they have a snake and maybe they have to go like, I don't know, they have to go on vacation or something, and Ronnie Ann takes care of the snake or something, and hijinks ensue, you know. I'm very intrigued by that episode because they say like, oh, when the snake roams around the building, you see all these things and stuff that happen and stuff like that. So I am very, very intrigued by that episode. I don't know what's going to happen in the episode, but I'm really, really excited. I did actually skim through the article again to see if I wanted to talk about anything else, but I really did just talk about how they really want to explore the idea of the city and how, like, the animation style is going to stay the same, and how they just got a lot of, like, inspiration from different cities, different, like, Mexican culture and things like that. So, again, I'm really excited about how they're going to embrace the Hispanic culture in terms of the Casagrandes. That's the one thing I'm very excited about, is learning about that tradition and stuff like that, because I don't really know much about that stuff, so I'm just really intrigued to see a show talk about that stuff. And in other news, with the comics, there is the Living La Castelao comic that is coming out in a couple months. I think it's in November. And that's actually going to be the Loud House and Casagrande crossover-esque comic, because according to some reviews I've read of Living La Casa Loud, it's supposed to be like an anthology / continuity / kinda-ish in its own universe thing, because it's supposed to have stories with the Louds, the Casagrandes, and the Louds and Casagrandes. So I was very confused about that, because I first thought it was going to be like an entire crossover comic, where it was going to be like a continuity thing where they're all together. But no, it's like an anthology series, but still has like maybe a few stories where there's like something else happening. Because Jeff Whiteman, who's actually an editor at Paper Cuts, who makes the comics, one of my friends in the fandom actually drew a picture of Benny and Luann together, and he actually commented it on saying, look out for issue 8. And issue 8 is Living La Casa Loud. So he's hinting that there's going to be a Luann and Benny comic. And one of the reviews I actually read talked about Luann and Benny. So if there's any Lou Benny shippers out there, you get excited because they're actually going to have a comic together, which, again, I'm really excited about, because I did like Stage Plight. I do ship those two together, so I am very interested to see what else they could do with them. I'd like to see another episode with them. I know there's supposed to be another episode with them in the future where they go on, like, their first date or something, but it is nice to see they're actually going to have them in the comics. That's really nice. They're going to have another ship with the comics, because it seemed like the one ship that's had the most comics is Saluna. Not a bad thing, I love Saluna, but they've had like 4 comics, and then like in the recent one, Sam was in it, but it wasn't a Saluna comic, but it seems like they've had a lot of comics together, so it would be nice to see another ship take over. But something very interesting up my alley came out with the comics. With Living La Casa Loud, Paper Cuts actually posted a preview of Living La Casa Loud. They showed the cover that we'd seen months ago with Lincoln and Ronnie on the cover together. Absolutely love that cover. I think it's beautiful with the two together. And then they have like the little like papery things. I don't know what you call those. They're just like little decorations. I'm gonna get so much slack for what I'm saying today. Yeah, the little decorations. They have like a Ronnie and the little things. That's also really nice. Then they showed a preview of the back, like the back cover of the comic. And a little tiny bit of a picture there, you could see a girl with brown hair, like in a little headband, a little pink headband, and a tiny bits of white puffy hair sticking out. And something else would cover it. And do you know what that means? Sid and Lincoln are gonna meet for the first time in any canon thing ever. I am so excited. Oh my god. Like, this is amazing. Like, okay, so, when Sid was first introduced, we all were thinking, like, when's Lincoln gonna meet Sid? Because obviously these two have to meet. It's destiny, with Ronnie Ann, with Lincoln being Ronnie Ann's best friend from Royal Woods, and Sid being Ronnie Ann's best friend from the city. They gotta meet. You just gotta do it, It's bound to happen, but with TLH, for example, we've had a lot of things that we wanted from the show that the show really hasn't given us. Like, for me, it's like, Ronnie Ann with the sisters, the Loud sisters, we haven't really had that in a while. So I was like, yeah, no, they're not gonna have Lincoln meet Sid at all. But then, lo and behold, they show us in the comics that, yes, Lincoln is finally gonna meet Sid. So that means that Lincoln is going to the city to visit Ronnie Ann, and then is going to meet Sid. Now, I am curious as to if this is going to be the first time he's meeting Sid, or like the second or third time he's meeting Sid. Because, again, with the Casagrandes, we do know that it was hinted that Lincoln is going to have cameos in the Casagrandes. We don't know when, because obviously we don't know that yet. They're not going to give us those hints yet. But if there is an episode that comes up and Lincoln does appear in that episode and meets Sid for the first time, that'll be great. But I hope that if that happens, the people who are writing the comics know that, and they don't retcon it where it's like Lincoln's meeting Sid twice for the first time. But if that's not happening right now, then obviously that could happen where it'll be the first time Lincoln ever meets Sid in any canon thing. But either way, I'm really, really excited for this. This is very exciting. I don't know how it's gonna happen. I don't know how it's gonna play down. I don't know how it's gonna go. But I am really excited about this because, talking about the episode City Slickers, when I talk about it, I mentioned with Friendin, is that Ronnie Ann lied about her life to her city friends, to Lincoln and to Lincoln in that episode. She was ashamed of where she's from and who she has as friends, because when Lincoln was meeting her city friends, she was kind of uncomfortable talking about him and stuff. Whereas with Sid, an example for Friended, she didn't lie about her life. She was like, no, I'm not from the city, I just moved here, I'm not from here, yada yada yada. So maybe she has mentioned Lincoln to Sid from time to time. We don't know that, we haven't seen it, but that's just more of a guess. So I'm wondering if we're actually going to have an episode in the Casagrandes where Lincoln goes to the city and meets Sid for the first time, or we have to wait for the comic. It could be that we wait for the comic because it is in November. I know it's like maybe at the end of November, I'm not sure. And I don't know if the Casagrandes will go on hiatus or they'll still be on doing new episodes. And we don't know if the new episodes or either have Lincoln cameos or Lori cameos, vice versa. So again, we don't know that. But we do have a hint. We do have a general idea that Lincoln is going to meet Sid while he's visiting Ronnie Ann. So that means that Lincoln is going to the city to hang out with Ronnie Ann and eventually meet Sid. I am super duper excited about that because I've been waiting for Lincoln and Ronnie Ann to have a comic together since like the last time they had a comic together, which was Live Life Loud, where like Lincoln made a cameo where Ronnie Ann called him on the phone to ask for baby advice, and that was the only time. And also in the first comic, what was that? There'll Be Chaos? Yeah, There'll Be Chaos. It was where Ronnie Ann made a cameo where Lincoln had to call her on the phone, and the sister was kind of like, teasing him about it and stuff. But they haven't really had a comic together. They're the one ship in the show that's never really had a comic together. So the fact that Lincoln's going to the city in the comics and gonna hang out with Ronnie Ann and Sid is very exciting to me. I'm super pumped for this. I am a huge fan of Lincoln and Ronnie Ann, as I've, been shown on Twitter. I am a huge fan of those two, as I mentioned before. So I am really, very excited for whatever content I could get from those two. And again, the fact that Lincoln's meeting Sid is gonna make it all better. Like, I really hope that Sid is so excited to meet Lincoln, and Lincoln's so excited to meet Sid, and they're just having fun and being buddies, and Ronnie is just so happy, and they're all chilling together in the city and having a good time. I'm just so excited. I just hope that this comic doesn't disappoint me. How could it? It's Sid and Lincoln meeting for the first time. This comic could be the worst written comic ever, but the fact that Lincoln and Sid are meeting at all is all that matters to me. I don't care where it goes. I'm just happy that Lincoln is going to meet Sid with Ronnie and they're all going to hang out. That's really all that matters to me in terms of this comic. So I'm really just super excited about this. I just can't stop thinking about how this is actually going to happen. So thank you to the people who are writing the comics for making this happen for me, because it was one of my dreams to have Lincoln meet Sid, and it's actually going to happen. So I'm super duper pumped. And the last piece of news for this week is that there is the panel that's happening on Sunday, the 15th, where the Casa Grande crew and the cast members are going to be at California talking about the show. Apparently, the New York screening did not happen. There was supposed to be a screening of the Casagrandes in New York City, and that did not happen. They changed it to Disenchantment at the last minute. I don't know why. It's a good thing, though, because my friend was going to sign up and do it, but he ended up not doing it because it was sold out. So a lot of people did want to go, but then they decided not to do it, which kind of stings. I hope they all got their money back. It was kind of weird how they decided they wanted to do it and then they just ended up canceling it. But the panel's still happening on the 15th. I don't know anybody who's going, but again, if you are going to California and you are going to the Casa Grande panel, and you go into the screening and have the cast and crew there, and there's anything that you can tell me about it, or if you go and you can report back to me, please do, because I'd love to hear what they say about the show. on Sunday, or they show any clips or anything from the first episodes. But again, if they can't say anything and no one records the panel, that's okay, but I'm hoping that maybe Twitter will be my friend on that day, and I'll just check tweets to see if anybody's tweeting out that panel. Maybe they're live tweeting, they could tell me some things that happened on the panel. But yeah, I am really just very happy if they do announce anything at the panel. Maybe they'll have the news people come out and say something in an article oh, here are more Casagrande episodes coming out, that'll be exciting. Or they'll show a trailer for I don't know, more episodes coming up, who knows. But we already have a trailer, so we don't really need that. But any more promotional stuff I'll take, so absolutely, yeah. So I will say good luck to the cast and crew who are doing the panel. I hope you guys have a lot of fun at the panel. Of course, I can't go, but again, if anybody can go and you can tell me anything, I will be very grateful about that. But again, if there's anything I can't say on the podcast, if anybody tells me anything, I won't say anything. Casa crew, I got you. Yeah. So wow, yeah, that was a lot of news. That took a lot out of me, especially Lincoln and Sid meeting. That was one of the things that made my week during the week was yep, the Lincoln and Sid are gonna meet in the comics. But yeah, that was a lot. But yeah, that is all the Casa news for this week. And now we're going to get into our main topic for the show, which is part 1 of the Casagrande arc, Friended through No Show. So we're going to take a little break and we'll be right back with the review of the Casagrande arc, part 1.
Hey, it's me, Ronnie Ann. If you like the Louds, come meet my family. My mom, my brother, abuelo, abuela, Tio Carlos, Tia Frida, my cousins Carlota, CJ, Carl, and Carlitos, and our pets Sergio and Lalo. We are the Casagrandes.
And we're back for our Casagrande arc review of Friended through No Show. So, we're talking about the Casagrande arc, which premiered back in May through June. Again, I say May because Friended premiered at the end of May, and then the arc was in June for 2 weeks, so I'm kind of counting Friended as part of the arc, because it is the introduction of Sid. So I wanted to include it in this episode. It is a 2-part episode, so I will get into a really long, full detail about it, but I will try to keep it limited, because of course we have other episodes to talk about. So with that being said, let's get started. So the first episode we need to talk about is Friended, which is the first episode of TLH Season 4, and the first episode that kicks off the Casagrande arc. Friended is the episode where Ronnie Ann meets her new friend Sid Chang, and Sid and her family are going to move into the apartment building, so Ronnie Ann makes a plan to get Sid and her family into the apartment building without anybody else moving in. So I remember when Friended, the first preview of Friended came out, and when we first got the introduction of Sid, I absolutely adored, and her chemistry with Ronnie Ann was absolutely delightful. The one thing that kind of, caught me off guard at first was Ronnie Ann's new voice actor, because of course, Brianna Yieldy used to voice Ronnie Ann, but then, she got replaced by Isabella now, which, I absolutely love her voice now, really great voice, but it was kind of weird, because oh no, they got Ronnie Ann, new voice actor, but, what can you do, that's showbiz. But yeah, just overall, seeing how Ronnie Ann acts this episode is very different than how she is throughout the seasons of TLH. You really can tell how far her character has come, because with Sid, her interactions with Sid are very interesting to me, because she's actually able to be more open with Sid, talk to her, be friendly with her, actually tell her things. Like I mentioned before, Ronnie Ann did lie about who she was to Sid. With her city friends and city slickers, for example, she lied about where she was from. She was not proud of herself from being from Royal Woods and not being from the city. She pretended to be a city kid to impress these kids. So with Sid, she really didn't need to do that, because at the end of City Slickers, she learned from Lincoln that she's not supposed to, change herself in order to have people like her. People should like her for who she is, and that's what she did around Sid. Now, I don't really know when she meets Sid, if she meets Sid before her city friends or after. I usually just say it's after, because with Friended, it's after City Slickers, which is in season 3, so that's kind of Lighthouse doesn't have continuity, so there's not really any judging there. But I do absolutely love how Ronnie Ann is super honest about her life to Sid. She talks about her family, she talks about how her parents are split up, which is the saddest thing ever to me, because again, she actually mentions her father for the first time in the show, because we met her mother, Maria, in season 2, but we didn't really know about her father till now, and her father's actually a doctor that works in Peru, I believe. Yeah, so she mentions that. We'll talk about the opening of the episode. I absolutely love the opening where we get to see all the characters like just doing their thing in the house. It kind of reminds me of the first episode, TLA's Left in the Dark, where we see all the sisters and like all the personalities and stuff. Same thing with Friended, where they just kind of introduce all the characters and they introduce the world. Like Ronnie Ann's going out to do her skate trip, going out to the park to practice some skate tricks, and we get to see some of the city life and stuff. It's really nice. And then we get a nice little cameo from Lincoln where Ronnie has talked to him on the phone. It's really sweet. It's really nice. Well, my favorite thing about that is that Ronnie Ann talks to him about like, oh, I thought I saw you the other day, but it was just an old guy with white hair. Like, and he's like, and Lincoln's just like, yeah, I get that a lot. It's really cute. It kind of implies that Ronnie Ann misses Lincoln a little bit. Like, it kind of means that she does miss him without saying it. So it's kind of like really nice to see Ronnie Ann's little like her kind of interpretation of her feelings for Lincoln, because we kind of see that with Lincoln throughout the series. So if we get to see more of that little hint of Ronnie and how she feels about Lincoln herself, that would be really nice, because I've been really wanting to see that in the show. So absolutely love that little cameo by Lincoln. I'd like to see more of that in the show if the spinoff does that with the Lincoln cameos. But back to Sid and Ronnie Ann. I love how Ronnie Ann is just so determined to have Sid in the apartment building, because she finally met somebody who she can have fun with and relate with and really just enjoys her company, and Bobby sees that and is just so excited that she's excited about a new friend. It's really interesting to me that Ronnie is just so pumped to have a new friend in the city. And I kind of like talked about before, like it's kind of weird seeing this where she never really like, we never really saw that with Lincoln, but again with the city life, she's changing herself for the city. She's moved to the city. She has a fresh new place to start new. She's improving herself upon herself, not changing herself, but really just improving her character, improving on who she is as a person, because she's grown since the first season of being like a bully / a prankster, even though she kind of is still a prankster, but she's not who she used to be. She isn't this tough, rugged, like aggressive person, like this really just kind of like bottled in person now. She's moved in with a loving, kind, sweet family that really cares about her, is very open about their feelings, so they're trying to teach her how to be more open for herself. So the fact that she opened up to Sid and is so excited and happy that she'll have this new friend of hers that moves into the same apartment building with her and can see her all the time is really nice, because again, she wants to have a friend that's close to her, I believe, so that's really what really makes me really happy about this episode, is again that Ronnie Ann's determination to have Sid in the apartment building with her. And so she gets the other Casagrande members to help her stop Rosa from having anybody check out the apartment building. And eventually Sid and Ronnie Ann are like, yeah, we got the room, Sid's gonna move in. But then once all of Ronnie Ann and Sid's ways to get people out of the apartment building backfires by Rosa finding out, Ronnie Ann actually apologizes for her actions. She actually takes responsibility and mentions to them that she was the one that did it because she wanted Sid to stay. And eventually the apartment building owner actually let Sid and her family stay in the apartment building for Ronnie Ann, because he saw that she was like really just sweet about Sid staying and just wanted the best friend to stay with her in the apartment building, which I thought was really sweet at the end, that Sid was able to stay with Ronnie Ann. That's all that matters. I want to see Ronnie Ann happy to have a new friend to hang out with. My one complaint about this episode is, again, that Sid really was only in it for, like, the first half of the episode and kind of disappears, and then she just kind of comes back at the end, which was kind of upsetting to me because I really wanted to see more of their friendship. Sid kind of just helps Ronnie Ann destroy and then comes back at the end. We do kind of get to see Sid's little interest in doing bird calls, which is really adorable, but I just think that this episode really would have benefited if we saw more of Sid and Ronnie Ann hanging out, but it's mostly just focused on Ronnie Ann trying to get Sid in the apartment building, which again, I just really love seeing her character growth and how she is learning to have more friends and trying to be more open to people and learning to make more friendships. Because again, back in Royal Woods, really her only friend was Lincoln. She really didn't hang out with anybody else. She was kind of friendly with his friends, but she really didn't have anybody. And then with City Slickers, she had these group of friends, but they kind of just disappeared for a while. And then here comes Sid, who's a super excitable, open, happy, really just there to try anything new kind of person. And Ronnie Ann just immediately is so, like, just so engaged in this, it's just so, like, open and happy to meet this person. She just loves Sid's personality and just loves her and just wants her around and stuff. It's like really, really great. I absolutely adore their friendship, you know, not gonna lie. They really had a great impact on me when I first saw the episode. I'm like, yeah, these two are really great together. But yeah, to see Ronnie Ann's character development was really great. There was also the little parts with Carl trying to stop the people from the apartment building. And then CJ with his little screwdriver. It's a hammer, but it's also a screwdriver, and trying to distract Rosa and stuff. That was really great. But yeah, I really did enjoy Friended. I liked it a little more than I did the first time I watched it. Like, I liked it when I first watched it, but I was like, yeah, it's okay. Like, yeah, I give it like a 6 out of 10. It's not really the most amazing episode, but still a good episode for Ronnie. And then we get into the first episode of the Casagrande arc, technically, because Friended is part of the arc, but it's kind of still its own separate special. But the official first episode of the Casagrande story arc is the episode Power Play, which is basically, what if we took one of the Loud House's worst episodes and just fixed it? It's a fix episode, basically. Like, it is beat by beat the same episode as Greenhouse. It's not even joking. Like, Lori Lily mentions the episode in the episode. She's like, when Bobby's telling her, like, oh, we have to reduce how much, you know, energy we use, and Lori's just like, oh, been there. It's like, yeah, that's so meta. It's like, yeah, we've done that before. They know that they're making a fixed episode, honestly. They know they're making Greenhouse 2.0, but they're having fun with it, you know? This is a fun episode. I really do enjoy it. I think because it's not a Ronnie Ann focused episode. Ronnie Ann plays an important role in, like, actually being the planner. She plans out all the ideas, which I wonder where she gets that from. Ronnie Ann being a planner. Who else in the TLH universe is a planner? I don't know. It's not ringing a bell to me. But yeah, she helps with plans to get everybody to stop using a lot of energy in the building. And there's some really great moments there, like Ronnie Ann with her hair down when her hair is all wet. Maria getting all crazy with that gum. Ronnie Ann playing little, like, trains with Carl when she goes, you know, choo-choo, you know. Frida gets a little moment to shine where she's kind of, like, doing the painting and stuff, because I love Frida. She's my favorite. And I was kind of upset that she really didn't do anything in Friended, so to see that she still has some little moments of shine in Power Play was great. Like, yeah, like, Power Play was definitely a ensemble episode. Everybody contributed to the episode. It was really, like, just the same episode of Greenhouse, but way better. But then, Sergio. Oh, Sergio was the cause of the problem the whole time, where he decided to have a party because Bobby basically wanted him to go away. Which, I do like that little continuity nod with Sergio still being kind of quote-unquote in love with Bobby from the end of Relative Chaos, where he ate the cookie and kind of fell in love with Bobby, the love potion. It's kind of funny they actually kept that continuity. I didn't really think they would, but that's just kind of funny. And at the end of Power Play, Sergio stays with Ronnie Ann because Bobby doesn't want Sergio bugging him all the time. So again, it wasn't really a standout episode. Like, there wasn't really anything significant about the episode, but I did really like how it was an ensemble episode. It was just a way that, the family was trying to help out. I forgot to mention the episode was mainly about because Ronnie Ann wanted to, control the energy because, Rosa and Hector wanted to go on their little, their little anniversary trip together. I forgot to mention that was the synopsis of the episode. But it's mainly just, what if we took the Greenhouse and fixed it, you know? It's like a fix-it episode. What if we took one of the worst episodes of TLH and fixed it and made a Casagrande episode? Are they going to do that in the future? Are they going to take some of the bad episodes of TLH and make, like, Casagrande episodes? Like, are they going to take, like, I don't know, like, like Lick It Loud Guru make like Ronnie Ann boy guru or something, you know, where she like gives boy advice. Like she gets advice from all her cousins and Lincoln about how for girls to talk to boys. I don't know. I did enjoy that episode that happened, but I don't think so. And then Room for Improvement was the episode where Ronnie and Sid find this like secret room underneath like the apartment building. Because, like, they see that the apartment building is very crowded with people, so they want to find their own space, because they want to, like, practice this little dance that they like from this K-pop group they like. It's very controversial that Ronnie and Sid like K-pop. I know it's, like, a huge deal that two fictional characters like K-pop. I don't know why it's a problem. I think it's really cute. I think Sid is the reason that Ronnie got into the K-pop. I remember when that the little teaser came out, everybody's like, oh my god, Ronnie likes K-pop. Why? It's like, why is that such a bad thing? I don't know. Why is it bad that Ronnie likes K-pop? I don't know. I know K-pop, it's like a thing to hate K-pop for some reason. I know like K-pop fans are supposed to be bad or like controversial or whatever, but it's really not that bad. I think it's really cute that they both are into K-pop. I think, you know, because again, Sid probably got her into it. What I do like about this episode is that we get to meet a lot of the other people that live in the apartment building, and they've like appeared in other episodes in the future. But my main issue with this episode is I like to dub it the guilt trip episode, because I feel like that a lot of the people were talking to Ronnie and Sid like very weirdly, because they were like, oh, you guys need your space, it's fine, I'll just go somewhere else, it's okay, like, you shouldn't feel bad about having your own space down in the basement or whatever, it's alright, it's fine. I'm just like, really? Like, alright. Like, it's weird because, like, yeah, the apartment building is crowded, and some people are just like, oh, if you ever want to, like, have the space, I'll just go back in my room. Like, the one guy was talking about playing games in his room. I'm like, yeah, why don't you just go in your room and play games? It shouldn't be that hard to, like, go in your room and play games. Like, why are you outside playing games when you could be inside playing games in your room? That's usually what I do. Like, it just felt weird to me that, like, the whole episode where it's like, yeah, I'm sorry for just taking up space. It's not like I live here or anything like that. You can do it. It's fine. It's just like, what's happening? Like, Ronnie and Sid feel bad at the end of the episode, and I can't blame them because, again, people are just filling in their heads that they should feel guilty about this. They really shouldn't. They had their own space. They were fine. I mean, it's nice that they shared the space with everybody else, but I felt like it was just like, well, then they're being robbed of their space, you know? Like, they felt selfish for having their own space, but really, like, everybody else was fine, content about having their own little spaces, and then they were fine about giving them up. And they would have been completely fine with you having your own space. They totally would understand. They would be like, yeah, it's fine, you can have it, it's okay. But then they would have felt bad in the end, obviously, like they did. So they gave the people in there time to have space in their own space, which I guess is nice and all, but I felt like Room for Improvement was really a very weak episode. It wasn't a great episode to me. I liked Ronnie and Sid together, but they really just didn't have a lot of impact. Although Adelaide was super adorable. I love Adelaide. She's really, really cute. I loved her and Sid. Like, Adelaide was, like, digging in the sand, trying to dig to go to Tokyo or something. I don't really remember what Sid said, but yeah, Adelaide's super duper adorable. And Ronnie and could apparently talk to dogs. Yeah, that's a thing. Because, like, what's his name? Winston? Is that what the dog's name is? A little fluffy white dog, forget what his name is. Yeah, like, she talks to him. I'm like, Ronnie Ann could talk to animals. Didn't know I need to know that. But yeah, Room for Improvement was kind of like a 5 out of 10 for me. Again, it was like not my favorite episode this bomb, but I still generally enjoyed it. Power Play I forgot to give a ranking to. I'd probably give that a 7 out of 10. And then the next episode was Role Model, which was Carl kind of idolizing Ronnie, and after she does this really great rescue. She rescues the dog from the tree, and Carl starts to be a little annoying when it comes to following Ronnie around. And, Ronnie Ann has to realize in the end that she is actually, being idolized by Carl, and, has to kind of take on this big sister role. Now, I absolutely adore this episode, because Carl looking up to Ronnie Ann is really just a very sweet thing. I think because, Carl, being his age, probably looks up to anybody as a hero. He looks up to this hero, in this TV show. And when he sees, like, Ronnie and his heroic thing, he starts to look up to her. And eventually starts to mimic everything she does everything she does, likes everything she likes, and follows her around and stuff like that. But again, he's a kid. He doesn't know any better. When you're a little kid like that, you look at everybody as an idol. You look at everybody as someone who you could follow in their footsteps and try to be the best person you can be. Like all of us, we all had role models in our lives. We had celebrities and people we look up to in our families where we wanted to be that person. Because we know we never could be that person. We never know what we could do with our lives. So, like, Carl being this little kid and looking up to Ronnie and as, like, a hero to her, she really didn't know how to take that. She found it super annoying that Carl was following her around and wanted to stop him from, doing all of this. But eventually she talks to her father, which, yeah, her father makes a cameo in this episode via the voice call. But that was just super sweet to see Ronnie and's father, Arturo, on the talking to her on the phone and talking to her about how she actually used to be Carl. She used to follow Bobby around when she was a little kid. And Bobby mentions this and actually shows a little flashback to when Bobby and Ronnie were little kids. Now, this is very interesting to me, because I've had a lot of headcanons when it comes to Ronnie and her life, basically. And to see that, like, when Ronnie was a little kid, she was very super excitable. She was very happy. She was very outgoing. She was very, very just super sweet and cute. But I've thought about it because she was probably happy then when her parents were still together. And maybe when her parents split up when she got older and eventually went to middle school at Royal Woods, that's when she kind of started to become kind of a prankster and eventually a bully, because she really just felt isolated in that way because her father left. When she was younger, she had her entire family together. She had her brother, her mother, and her father. Everything was great. Like, she was his happy life. But then, when she got older and he left, when she went to middle school, things changed, and that's just the way of life. It just made me think about her character. It's like, seeing her, like, all adorable and sweet with those little pigtails. She was so small, she's so cute, so adorable, but being so happy there, and then eventually just, like, maturing and stuff, into a person that she was in season 1, but eventually is continuing to be a newer person now, a better person now, is very interesting to me. But I do like seeing that parallel between Carl and Ronnie and how she followed Carl, when she followed Bobby around when she was younger, and Ronnie realizes she didn't feel like she needed to take on a sister role, but now she does. Role Model has to be my favorite episode of this bomb. It was absolutely adorable. I loved it. Just the flashback of little Ronnie Ann was so freaking cute. Just like, she was just like, I'm a zombie too! I made a sandcastle too. Mine doesn't have turtles though. Like, she was so freaking adorable. I'd love to see more little Ronnie, and I'd love to see a little more flashbacks or just like any little pictures of her when she was younger. Absolutely, I love that. So I love Role Model. It's a really, really great episode, and I'd love to see more Carl and Ronnie in the future. I give that episode 9 out of 10. Absolutely my favorite episode of the bomb. Probably even my favorite episode of the entire arc, but we'll see what happens. And finally, the episode No Show. The episode No Show is where the Casagrandes are watching this telenovela, and Ronnie Ann is like, I'm not really into it. But then when she sees how super cool the telenovela actually is, Ronnie Ann does get really addicted to the show and eventually wants to watch it. But then her family doesn't really want her to watch it with her because she tells them that she's not interested, but then she has to keep it a secret that she's really into it. This episode was kind of interesting to me, because again, like, Ronnie Ann getting into a telenovela, like, I would have thought it would have been something, like, really, like, cheesy, like, maybe she would have gotten into, like, something, like kind of romance related, so then she would have kept it a secret. But the fact that the telenovela is about a character who, strangely enough, looks just like her name is Ana Ronalda, which technically Ronnie Ann's full name is Ronalda Ann Santiago. That can't just be a coincidence. She literally looks like Ronnie Ann. It's like the model of Ronnie Ann, and they just, like, changed her hair. Gave her, like, Layla hair from Star Wars, and then they, like, gave her longer hair, and just, like, changed up her face and stuff. Like, one part, she doesn't even have, like, her stress marks anymore on the character. It's like, what am I talking about? No, it's Ana Ronalda. She's not Ronnie Ann. It's not, no, it's not. But, yeah, it's just kind of a funny thing that Ana Ronalda looks like Ronnie Ann. I think it's mostly just to project the idea that Ronnie Ann sees herself in Anna Ronalda, and that's not really what she looks like, nor is that really her name. I think it's just a cute little wink to the audience that Ronnie Ann sees herself in this character, which I find super adorable. Again, Anna Ronalda, I find that really just funny. I just find that really clever. And I find all the fun ways that Ronnie Ann's able to like go to different places to try to watch the telenovela. Like she goes to the laundromat to try to watch it. She goes to the hairdresser to try to watch it, what she did, but she couldn't at the end. She gets her haircut done because Anna Ronalda cuts her hair in a certain way. So Ronnie Ann cuts her hair in a certain way, which is super adorable. It's kind of weird to see Ronnie Ann with short hair, not gonna lie. Like, now that I've seen her with long hair, like what she actually looks like with her ponytail and what she looks like with short hair, I'm like, here, check it off the list of things I wanted since like the season 1 of TLH. There we go, checking the list, yeah. I'm trying to see if there's anything else noteworthy about the episode. I think it's just mostly just like, at the end, like, the Casagrandes kind of pull a little prank on her. They're like, yeah, we knew you got into it. We just wanted to tease you about not getting into it, which I didn't really like. Like, when I first watched the episode, I really didn't catch that until my second watch. I was like, oh, they tricked her into not telling the truth, so she'd tell the truth. It's kind of like, a little strange. But I still like the No Show. I just like seeing another side of Ronnie and that she can get into certain things that she's not really into. But it did mention about how, you know, like how she's really into like other things. Like she's mentioned she wants to watch soccer, and then the next telenovela at the end is a wrestling one, which actually connects to Lucha Fever, which is in the next bomb. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed No Show. It was a really good episode. Again, not much happened in the episode, but I just really liked seeing Ronnie and get into something new and just, like, express herself in a different way in terms of liking other things besides the stuff that she's into. So, yeah, that is part 1 of the Casagrande story arc with Friended, Power Play, Room for Improvement, Role Model, and No Show. So, yeah, those are all my reviews. And, of course, with No Show, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I did enjoy that. So again, my favorite episode from the Casagrande arc part 1, which was Role Model. My least favorite was Room for Improvement. I really did not like that episode. But Role Model was definitely the best episode of this bomb. Yes, so that is my reviews of the Casagrande story arc part 1. So for next time, we're going to be talking about part 2 of the Casagrande story arc, which has Face the Music, Pranks for the Memories, Star Wars, and Lucha Fever. And then we're also going to talk about any Casagrande news that comes out during the week. I'm not sure if there's any news that's going to come out, but if there is, I will definitely cover it. So again, if you like this show and you want to give me some feedback for the show, you can contact me at xsunnyclips or at Casagrande Chats on Twitter. And we'll see you all next time on Casagrande Chats.